Hello, welcome to take 2 of me being way too lazy to update my blog on a regular basis. So I figured I have to do this now because we're going to Prague this weekend, and if I don't update, then it'll never get done. So my apologies that I'll be looking that way a lot because I have my computer open with all my picture files so I can kind of keep better track of what I've been doing, because the days all blend together, especially because it's light for so long. I think I've said this before, but it's like the sun doesn't set completely until like 11:30, and it starts to rise again at like 4, so it's entirely light out again by 5:30. So the days are super long and they kind of all run together, but I'll do my best. So the last that I updated, it was Monday. I had kind of a lazy day, I think, just gone to class and whatnot. Tuesday, I went with the Exploring Berlin class to an area in Berlin that I forget the name of, but is like a rich area where Martin Yander, our professor, grew up, and it's also where the Free University of Berlin is. And so we got to do a tour of one of the buildings and one of the libraries, and it was really cool to see what a more campusy college looks like here, because the university that we're affiliated with, the Humboldt University, is not very campusy. It's much more like NYU, where everything is very spread out and the main building is in one area and then the building where we go to class is like half an hour away. And so it was cool to see a campus that had like greenery and trees and like a beautiful library and a giant main building, and everything was very close together. It was really cool to see. And I don't know what we did on Tuesday night. I cannot remember. We started doing this new thing where we go to the mini mart on the corner and get like snacks and drinks and go to the sunken garden, which is when the wall was being built, and I guess in the time of the division of Berlin, they had canals that transported materials to help build the wall and do other various things, and when the wall came down, they filled up these canals and they're now gardens, so they're like a little sunken gardens. And so we go hang out there a lot because there's one like right across the street from our apartment, which is really nice. Wednesday, I had class all day, usual. I went to my language class in the morning, and I think Wednesday may have been the day that we watched a film in my language class. We watched a Fatih Akin film called On the Other Side, and it was good. It was about a Turkish family, actually 2 Turkish families, and there was like a wedding and people got killed. There was a lot of romance, I guess, and violence and circumstance. The idea of the film really was like everybody's connected, and the ending was very ambiguous. You could kind of make it up if it was a happy end or if it wasn't. And that ran late, and so I kind of rushed into my film class where we watched another movie, and that was interesting. I don't even remember. We've watched a lot of really cool movies, some not as cool as others, I guess. I mean, the silent films are kind of difficult to pay attention during because you don't know what's happening all the time, and it's just the intertitles and like the cue cards and stuff. So if you miss something, you're like really lost because it's so much of the movie. It's like very small amount of words to describe something very big that's happening, so that you have to really pay attention or else you'll miss the important things. And that night we definitely went to the sunken gardens, and I think Margarita brought her guitar and she wrote a song about our program. It's really cute, and I will probably get a video of it at some point, but it's dark when we go out, so I will have to get that at a different time, but it should be good. And let's see, then on Thursday, this is the 25th now, we went with Exploring Berlin to Sachsenhausen. It's the concentration camp of Berlin, and it was a work camp. It wasn't a death camp, so there was a lot of stuff about people testing shoes, but that meant they had to run all day, or they had to pull a giant rock thing as they ran, and it was like a very somber experience, I guess. I've been to a couple of concentration camps, and this was definitely very hard to go through with this group, and Martin kept trying to say like, oh, is this too much? Do you want to leave? But it was definitely interesting. And after liberation, the camp was used to house Russians, I believe, who were involved in the war. and most of the buildings were destroyed, but they did a lot of like reconstructing what it used to look like so that they would have some buildings like a barrack and stuff like that. And on our way back, we went to McDonald's at the train station, and I got a McFlurry with Kit Kat, and it was so good, like super, super good. I was very pleased. And I think that we also went to the beer garden. We went to the Sunken Gardens again that night. Yes, we did. My pictures say we did. And because we were going to Dresden the next day, so it was kind of, we wanted to have a more low-key night, you know? So Friday we went to Dresden. It was a day trip. We had to get up super, super early. We took a train at, I believe, 8:30. It's about a 2-hour train ride, and we got there and we toured a lot of, it's like a very old city. There was a lot of castle type things and churches. There's a very famous opera building there that, like, apparently it's not the best opera, but it's the best building, so it's very, very famous. And some gardens, and the hotel that Obama stayed at when he was in Dresden was also there, and it was cute. There were lots of signs around that said, like, "Welcome, Mr. President. Yes, we can." It was very nice. The city has like a very old feel. There's also the Frauenkirche. It's a church that was destroyed during the war, and what they did is they reconstructed it in its exact replica, using as many of the stones that they could find in the exact same place. So it was light and dark. The dark stones were the old ones, and the light ones were the new ones, and that was really cool. It's a lot of effort for a building that they could have reconstructed it entirely new, but they wanted to hold on to some of the historical aspects of it, which is really cool. And that night we went to dinner at a restaurant. I don't know, NYU organized it, and the food was pretty good. I mean, we were all kind of tired, and it had been a long day, and we had been hungry when they gave us some time to do our own thing, and we were all really hungry, so we got food, but then we weren't really that hungry when we had dinner, because we had dinner at 5, so it wasn't like that awesome, but it was enjoyable. And that night we had talked about going to a bar. It's called Madame Cloud's, and it's like upside down. There's furniture and stuff on the ceiling, and it's like everywhere. It's unspotted by locals. People have been talking about it. People have been. One of the kids in our program, Kevin, has gone. He said it was really cool. So that was our plan, and then people kind of started bailing. They were tired, which is not very understandable, but you know, I was kind of past the point of tired, so I went out with Margarita and Nicole, except we couldn't find the place because the directions just told you to go on to a street that, like, no left, no right, and we couldn't figure out where it was. So we ended up at Mexican place, which I've been to before. I think I've mentioned it. I have 350 cocktails, and we got some chips, and it was enjoyable. It was, you know, like a kind of chill evening. We were out until 3, I believe, kind of late. But the plan was that the next day we were going to go like crazy all out. So I slept in a little bit. I woke up around 1 on Saturday. This is now Saturday the 27th. And Karina, my friend from home, who was also in Berlin with the Rutgers in Berlin program, needed a place to stay for a day because her program ended and her flight wasn't right away. So she stayed with me. So she moved in, brought in some leftover groceries. 2 thumbs up, Karina, if you're watching. And we just kind of, you know, hung out. I took a shower, and then we went to a festival, which, like, basically a festival in Berlin is just food, booze, and people selling stuff. There's a lot of people, and there's a lot of different kinds of food, and they're like all kind of hectic and crazy. And so we went to this one that separate from, like, in an area just like right down the street